When I first started using cardboard, it was really to make frames for some drawings I was doing. So I found some cardboard and just cut out shapes, and I kind of got interested or intrigued on how I could make a right angle or a curve or a certain shape out of cardboard and make a frame. So basically I was making these very crude drawings and these very crude frames, although they were kind of ornate, out of a very crude material. So that kind of led me to think of cardboard as something I could use in a lot of ways. That was kind of how I first started with cardboard. And the fact that it was, free. It was stuff that, you could find. So from there I started liking cardboard and Elmer's glue and masking tape a lot for a lot of work for a while. As far as finding the materials go, I've always liked to find things rather than buy them. For the pieces I make, I don't need brand new cardboard. I prefer that it was kind of banged up. Found material just has more character to it, so sometimes I can play off of that. If there's a certain part of a piece of an object, whether it's cardboard or wood or what have you. A lot of the pieces I was doing were video pieces, short vignettes, and I was also trying to push the tolerance of the viewer maybe to see how much they'll deal with. I've also done backgrounds of cityscapes that were similar, but of course the buildings were smaller and tighter, and I had more space to line up sort of a landscape of buildings and factories, that kind of thing. I think cardboard is an interesting material just because it's so cheap. When I use it, I like to kind of use that point about it. So tears and rips sort of inform the piece I'm going to make. If I'm doing building facades, sometimes I'll let a lot of the corrugated spots show through or some of the tears. A lot of time I found cardboard that was in the basement or laying in a puddle somewhere get some interesting stains, and I think it almost starts to look like a building. And just the cardboard itself, I like that it's corrugated, some of it is really thick. You can almost cut it with a bandsaw. I also like masking tape a lot. I've always been a fan of that. A lot of the time I'll let the masking tape show. I kind of like the idea of the process being obvious sometimes. It's almost like, if you see a magician do a trick, they never reveal the trick, but I think it's interesting to almost see the sides of something or the back of something or the way something is put together. So with cardboard pieces, I often like to see the mistakes and they become part of the piece. I also use wallpaper in a lot of pieces. On this piece I've also used the corrugated part of the cardboard because I just really like garage doors that roll up. I just think they look interesting, if you see them riding down a street. So I just thought that was an easy remedy to show that kind of a door. And also just to use the cardboard to make it do other things. I want to change the surface somehow. So, if I'm making an inventive facade of a building, there's a lot of things that I'll leave showing so that it's not going to be a perfect looking building. It's obvious that it's made out of cardboard. It's not a real building. So I like to have tears show, edges show, staples, nails, screws, things like that. I think the idea of repeating a shape is interesting and it's fun for me to do. But I also started finding images online, printing them out and sticking them down with wallpaper paste as if they were signs or even posters stuck to the side of a building. I kind of think of them almost more as paintings, so they kind of have that feel. They can be just hung flat on a wall and they work fine. Well, it's not that, I'm like a found object artist. I like that something has a previous life maybe and you can reuse it somehow. I just use things that I can find that, have a life to them already, have a character about them. That's kind of interesting to me. The artwork isn't about recycling. I think recycling is great, everyone should, but it's not making that statement, I suppose. I don't think it's about being perfect or having really clean lines or having, things line up exactly the way you think they should. So I like to leave that door open so that things don't work the way it should, because I'll learn more that way, for one thing, and it usually comes out better.